Good morning. Welcome to my first Bake Along with Lisa. So I've never used Facebook Live before, so I apologise in advance for any little glitches. I'm also going to try and either film at the same time or Stuart is going to film me. For any children watching, now is the time before we start the boring adult bit for you to go and wash your hands, because we need to make sure that we have nice clean hands to do baking. And for you lovely grown-ups, you can start by putting on your oven. So we need to preheat our oven to 200 degrees if it's fan assisted, or 220 if you're a non-fan assisted oven, for our lovely Swiss roll. And after that, I'm going to hand over to Stuart, who can lovely and film me for the moment. So bear with me a second. There we go. So, I like to pre-measure all my ingredients first. So I've got my sugar and my flour. I've also got my Swiss roll tin, cut out a piece of baking parchment that's the same size as the inside of my Swiss roll tin. You also need another piece of baking parchment that's just slightly larger than your tin. And we'll come to that later, but I always find it's best to get the cutting done first. So once you've cut out your piece of parchment, just get some butter, and we just need to grease our tin so that our lovely Swiss roll doesn't stick to it. Take those little bits out. So we run our batter around. Quite a messy little job, but it's a good job for the kids. They can get nice and messy with the butter. So once you've greased the bottom, pop your piece of parchment in, smooth it right out to the edges. And then put another little bit of butter on top, just to make doubly certain that our Swiss roll is not going to stick to the bottom of our tin, because that would be a disaster. Right, so now we've done the boring bit, the bit that I really don't like. I'm very lucky that now that my daughter is 6, she can use scissors. So I've got her into the habit of, she cuts all my baking parchment out, because I hate doing it. But this morning I did it. So done the boring bit, so that can go to one side for the moment, because we don't need that for a while. And the next thing you need to do, if you've got a stand mixer like this, you need your balloon whisk attachment. If not, just a little handheld electric whisk will be absolutely fine. But first we need to crack our 4 eggs. A little bowl to put the eggshells in. So we need our 4 eggs, go into our bowl first. So nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this is a dead easy recipe, so it's great for the kids. It's Swiss rolls use something called a fatless sponge. So we've got no butter, no oil. You literally get all the air in your sponge from whisking together your eggs. And we're going to add 100 grams of caster sugar to our eggs. Just sprinkle that in there. So we've got 100 grams of caster sugar with our eggs. And we're going to pop it on. And what you want to do is you want to whisk it up so it's nice and light and fluffy. So we want to get as much air into our eggs and sugar mixture as we can, because that is where all our air for our sponge comes from. So we're just going to start it out slowly. This is the noisy bit. So we just increase it, but this is the most vital stage. This is the crucial bit. Because if you don't get enough air in at this stage, I'm just going to stop talking while it gets noisy. Bear with me a few minutes. This is also a great time for anyone who might be a bit behind. This is a good time to catch up. So all we've done so far is crack our four eggs into the bowl and added our caster sugar. And we're now going to whip it up. So I'm going to go quiet again for a minute because the mix is just too loud that you can't hear me. Once I've finished whisking, I'll show you what it should look like so you know what you're aiming for. First of all, don't panic if you feel like it's taking a little while. We're still not quite there yet, so it does take a little while to get to how we want it. But this is the key bit to it. So this is the bit where you take your time. Don't worry, it's starting to go nice and frothy, so we know that we're getting lots of nice air into it. Still need to go a bit further because it needs to all be mixed together. Now we're starting to get there. We're starting to go light and fluffy, so it's getting there. So a couple more minutes and I think we'll be there. close now. So as you can see, our eggs, they've doubled in size pretty much. But what we're looking for is we're looking for a bit more of a trail in our mixture. So it is trailing a little bit, but we just want, I think we'll just give it just another 30 seconds on high speed, and I think we'll be there. Feel free, if you're already there and your mixture's already looking nice and fluffy and you want to measure out your flour, if you haven't done it already, you need 100 grams of self-raising flour, and you'll need a sieve. So, as you can see, we're pale, we're fluffy, and we've got lots of nice air in our mixture. Okay, so this is the point where you remove your whisk. We'll take our mixture out. So, I'm just going to take the mixture. So, it's light, it's fluffy, you can see all the air bubbles in it. So this is what we want it to look like. It has doubled in size. So we're all ready to go with our flour. So this is the point where we want to sieve our flour in. We don't want to just chuck it all in one go. We just want to do a little bit at a time. So if you put half in first, give it a bit of a shake. I'm trying to do this one-handed. The kids have gone feral, so Stuart's had to disappear off for the kids. So I'm now trying one-handed to sieve in some flour. Now at this stage, this is important because we don't want to knock all the flour, all the air that we've just put into our mixture. We don't want to get rid of it. So what we do now is we're folding. So we need to fold the flour in. Now, my grandma taught me how to fold in. I know lots of people do it differently, but I tend to do it that you use a really big, so you want a really big metal spoon, and you want to go round the mixture. You'll need to come in quite close for this. So you want to go round the outside of the mixture, turn the spoon over and cut down the middle. And that's how I was always taught. Go round and cut down the middle. And you just want to ever so gently fold your flour into your egg mixture. Just a little bit at a time. Don't rush it. Because we want to keep all that nice air, but we just want to incorporate the flour into the mixture. So just get all the way down to the bottom, scoop it all round and fold it in. And once you've combined your first lot, then what you want to do is you just want to sieve in a bit more flour. So then you can sieve in the other half of your flour. I've got 2 hands back now. So just sieve it all in Make sure it's all in the bowl. And the last little bit out with your fingers or a spoon, whatever you've got to hand. And then same process again. Round the outside of the bowl and cut down through the middle. Round the bowl. We're trying to keep all the air in and turn some more air in as we go. So we want to keep nice, light, fluffy mixture, but we want to incorporate all this flour without beating it, without knocking air out. We just want to keep it nice. So just go around the outside and cut down through the middle. And you'll notice that it will start to change texture as the flour is incorporated. It will just become slightly, you'll feel it being slightly thicker as you go through it. So, once you can't see any more flecks of flour, you know that you're done. So what you want to do now is you just want to get your pre-prepared tin and just pour it straight into the tin. Then you just want to give it a very gentle little wobble. Don't wobble it too much, just very gently wobble it into the corners. Make sure that you've got it into all four corners of your tin before putting it in the oven. So then just wobble it this way, just very gently, back and forth. Give it a little wobble. It will get there. Okay, so now that it's flat, you can see all the nice air bubbles on the top. Make it all nice and airy. So I'm going to pop this in the oven for 10 minutes at, I've got a fan oven, so I'm 200. If you haven't got a fan oven, it's 220. But it should be about 10 minutes, so not very long at all. So don't go off and do something and leave it, or you'll end up with cardboard. So yes, in the oven for 10 minutes. Now, I'm one of these people who worries all the time about burning things. So I will check it, not open the oven door, but just have a little look at it at 8 minutes, just to see how it's doing. Effectively what you're looking for is a nice light golden brown colour on the top. Not too dark, but nice and light. And the cake should start shrinking away from the edges of the tin. If you get to that point, you know you're done. Take it out. If it hasn't been 10 minutes, don't worry, it's time to come out. So while the cake's in the oven, one, it's a good time to do your tidying up, but also you can get ready for the next stage. So for this, you'll need a nice clean tea towel, which you can lay on your work surface. Just going to move those out of the way. That's later's job. So yes, nice clean tea towel on your work surface. And this is where you need your baking parchment that we cut out earlier. So slightly bigger than your tin. You just want to pop it down on top of your clean tea towel. And you want to sprinkle it with a little bit of caster sugar. So quite generous, because this is what we're going to turn our Swiss roll out onto. So it's going to give it a nice sugary coating to it, and it's also going to mean that when we turn it out, it's not going to stick to the baking parchment. So once you've done that, you can then get your strawberry jam. So I have got about 3 generous dessert spoonfuls worth of strawberry jam. Now you can either put it in your microwave for 20 seconds just to soften it up, or I tend to just give it a really, really good stir. What you want is you want a nice consistency. You want to get rid of the jelly-like consistency. You want it to be nice and smooth, easy to spread, so that when your Swiss roll comes out, the jam will spread nice and easily over it. So that's probably about right. So that it will just fall off the spoon, just nice and easy, fall off the spoon. So that's all ready. So what we're going to do is when the Swiss roll comes out of the oven, you just need to be prepared that we're going to turn it out straight away onto our sugared parchment, and we're just going to cut a small slice in it, and you roll it up when it's warm. So we're going to roll it up first. We're not going to add jam to it, but we're going to roll it up straight away, so that as it cools in its rolled up shape, which will make it easier once we put the jam in to then roll it up afterwards, which should, fingers crossed, mean that we don't have any crackage. Can't promise it, but that's the aim. So we've got 6 minutes left on the timer, so we'll just have a little break for a minute and we'll come back in 5. Okay, I'll see you all then. Bye!